Hello, and welcome to coverage of the Cycorp Swiss Open for the custom standard format. I'm Kaya, and I'm here with Simon, otherwise known as Tyrant, and today we're going to be watching the round 2 match between Phoenix Star, otherwise known as AllWhoWander, who is playing MonoRed Aggro, and FrogMaker, who is playing Green-Black Enchantocrats. So this matchup, I think, is pretty heavily in AllWhoWander's favor. FrogMaker is playing a very slow, mid-rangey, grindy plan, which doesn't have that many answers to AllWhoWander's fast, I'm just going to beat your face in plan. It has some potential lines, but especially with AllWhoWander being on the play, it's kind of difficult for FrogMaker to do anything significant.
AllWhoWander is on the play, but he did mull to 5 when FrogMaker only mulled to 6. FrogMaker might be able to... AllWhoWander might have a really awkward hand right now. Mm-hmm. He might not be able to apply enough pressure. It might give FrogMaker some room to breathe and steal the game.
Yeah, fair. Doesn't have a second land, it looks like. Jeez, is going to be able to swing out into... But God, keeping a one-lander, I guess if you mull to 5, you kind of just have to be bold at that point. But man, still.
And there's at least two 1-drops, Pouncing Caracal with Assault. He's getting a lot out of this one.
Yeah, and fortunately, AllWhoWander is getting these attacks in for free because FrogMaker is just playing tap lands and passing. Oh well, okay, now he's gonna play into the Lion's Den. That's not even a blocker. I think depending on what AllWhoWander has in hand, might not care about this. Oh, the double Pyromancer's Wisdom. That's the reason to keep a 1-land hand, I guess. If you're FrogMaker, you probably just take the Phoenix Flames.
If there was only one Wisdom, I would say grab that because it allows him to hit his next land drop through the Journey, or cast a 4 off of or a 3-drop off the Wisdom itself. But since there are 2 Wisdoms, I say you just go for the Phoenix Flame.
Yeah, because Phoenix Flames lets Wander kill a blocker or just go face. It seems that FrogMaker took a Wisdom though.
Yeah, I don't think that Wisdom is a resource where you care how many you have of it. I think you care a lot more about having it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I say that's why I was saying if there was only 1 Wisdom, I would take it. But since there are 2, I would grab the Flame.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
FrogMaker missed his land drop as well, which suggests that he won't be able to play to the board. This is in a game where there are only 3 lands on the battlefield. If RDW has at least 1 of them, it is very favored.
And AllWhoWander getting to assault the Pouncing Caracal, buff it up. Having assault on these Caracals gives something for Wander to do with the mana, even as Wander fails to find their second land.
Well, I was really excited. I wanted to see FrogMaker play to the board, hit his land drops, and exploit Phoenix Star having a slow hand.
Drew into an Oracle boy. I think you kill the Hellhound. Oh no, the Caracal. Interesting. I feel like
the Caracal was a 2/3.
It was 2/2 because Caracal was
2/2.
2/2. Yeah. Sorry. I forgot about the Caracal nerf. It was a 2/2, which in the long run, leaving the 2/2 on the board, I think, does do more damage than leaving the Hellhound.
Wander did get the Scry, which I think could help. Did Wander want, and Wander kept it on top, but didn't play it? That's interesting.
This is an extreme example of where Oracle's ploy's downside is relevant when your opponent is at 1 land.
Oh, but FrogMaker has the Sacrificial Bull, has a blocker.
A blocker and no lands in the yard, so it's going to hold back the Hellhound,
but not the Caracal, because the Caracal can just keep swinging. What did AllWhoWander keep on top that wasn't a land off of the Scry? I can't imagine what it would be. It feels like that's supremely greedy. And now this is a Blood Knight Countess. It can block the Caracal. This is stabilization.
It could have been another Caracal? maybe a shock.
Or maybe another Phoenix Flames
I don't.
to go face with if Wander ever hits.
I would not keep Phoenix Flames if I was struggling.
Land drop. Here we go. And here it comes.
Maybe it was the second land. Maybe it was the second land and AllWhoWander was trying to Galaxy Brain FrogMaker.
Into what? Like
maybe he was playing around something we don't know.
And hits an unproven hatchling off the journey. That's good. That's really good. If only Wander can
It's a castable... Yeah, he can definitely cast Phoenix Flames even if the rest of his hand is like Squall Wing Screechers, and he can cast Unproven Hatchling from the journey.
Yeah, I think
the Phoenix Flame using the bull here seems decent.
Yeah, I think you Phoenix Flame the bull, and then you
Agreed.
With Caracal, grab Unproven Hatchling, and then next turn, does FrogMaker? I think FrogMaker only has the one Oracle's Ploy. And yeah, it was the Phoenix Flames.
Yeah, one Oracle's Ploy in the entire 75.
Yeah, so then you don't have to worry about Unproven Hatchling getting killed. You can just grab Unproven Hatchling with the Caracal, and then next turn, basically just win.
I don't think it will matter, but that bull should be...
The bull should be exiled. Mm-hmm.
No, it shouldn't. He sacrificed it.
Sacrificed in response to the Blood Knight Countess. You're right, Ruben. Good point.
This is...
I wonder what's in the rest of FrogMaker's hand, because, it's a risky keep on both players' parts, but I think way more so on FrogMaker's part. Hazard redistricting. I think you want board presence more than ramp, but it doesn't even have the fetch engrave to use it. Yikes. Meanwhile, if you're Wander, you put Unproven Hatchling, and then next turn you win the game. Or Rotting Hellhound?
Or you win right now.
Oh yeah, or you win right now by double despair.
Yeah.
This wins.
Yeah, because, and FrogMaker concedes. We're going to game 2. Off of a very weird game 1, but it ended up how we expected.
That was... if that was game 1, Wander would not have had shock, just by the way. Or at least
and that is a good segue into looking at the sideboards for each player, so we can actually see what they're going to bring in. I kind of have no clue what Wander would want to bring. Like maybe a hired hit, or some from small removal to kill blockers. But I think Wander's main board is pretty well teched out for this matchup.
I think that it's a good enough matchup that you don't really need to sideboard much. From FrogMaker,
Bruiser, Stalking Spider, out of date. I think all of those are coming in.
Yeah, definitely.
Because Stalking Spider provides a good flash blocker that can sometimes 2-for-1 your opponent. Whoopip Bruiser also is a 2-for-1 and can kill a creature. Out of date, having instant speed removal is just really key in a matchup where you have
and 2 mana.
An Unproven Hatchling. So yeah.
It's just really efficient removal with no downside in this matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess it has the minor downside of there are a lot of 1-mana threats that you want to answer.
Well, and it misses Blitz.
Yeah, which is something we were talking about.
Oh, right. I forgot that AllWhoWander ran that.
Yep.
It's new to the deck. No one has a lot of data on it. So this is the first place.
Mm-hmm.
I will at least say that I think Blitzsuit is much better than the 2-1 with Menace that I was trying out.
The Hunter Seeker? Yeah, I think you want a density of haste threats in RDW right now because of Unproven Hatchling. So I definitely agree with that.
Well, yes, but Blitzsuit doesn't contribute to your density of haste threats. It's your non-haste slot.
I mean, it gives other creatures to control haste. It has haste itself. So you can there are some turns where you can let's say, I think play an Unproven Hatchling and then immediately haste it up with Blitzsuit, and I think that's kind of like a sneaky play.
Yeah, I still don't think that for the sake of Unproven Hatchling, you can really think of it as a haste creature to contribute to your, density for the sake of. But I
also acting as a
you're right that it's
anthem effect
slight.
is very strong. Oh, also they've gone straight into wow. They have started game 2. FrogMaker has played a Sacrificial Bull. Meanwhile, AllWhoWander has played an Unproven Hatchling. It seems like FrogMaker also had a very tapland heavy start. Eerie Bayou, Slumbering Grotto. Meanwhile, AllWhoWander.
Both players, though, having a much
Drain FrogMaker for 3. Doesn't have the haste threats that AllWhoWander needed to turn on the Hatchling, though. And FrogMaker could just, kill it in response right here. Whoopip Bruiser, kill Unproven Hatchling is pretty brutal. And yep, there's the Whoopip Bruiser. I think you germinate onto the Sacrificial Bull and then kill Hatchling. Makes a stop.
I would actually germinate onto the Whoopip Bruiser. Then the Bruiser can threaten to trade with Enchantocrats, and you can save the Bull to exile your fetches to get.
Fair. I was more thinking about Bull's second ability, and that the +1/+1 counter would contribute to that. But I guess you're right. Ooh, and Squalling Screecher is really good here. Yeah, just going to be swinging out for 7. FrogMaker has to give up at least a creature here if he wants to block Tempered Onclem. Maybe 2 if he decides to block with a Sapling. Yeah, decides to block with Whoopip
Bruiser. Onto the Bruiser is pointless.
Still definitely on the back foot here, but out of the side has the tools to stabilize from here.
If he kills the Squalling Screecher then plays something else, he is ahead, so I don't think it's fair to call him on the back foot.
No, I'm saying he's on the back foot right now, but has the tools to stabilize given what he has out of the side. I think it's he's back on board. He's as we're looking at it right now, he is behind on board and behind on life. Zuluf writes for Oracle's Ploy.
And now he can find the Oracle's Ploy.
Oracle's Ploy, kill the Squallwing. And that's only 2 mana, so has 3 mana to be able to play something else or start buffing the Sacrificial Bull.
2 targets for the Sacrificial Bull.
Okay, so tapping 2 for Razorvine Abomination.
Oh, nice.
That's that. Yeah.
Morbid online.
And swings in with the Sacrificial Bull.
Ooh, not one.
For a moment, I thought he was really respecting
the
haste.
Morbid trigger. I guess was only thinking of it being his own creatures. That's not a May, so that's just should we tell them? I guess not. So Wander's gonna play Tempered Onclem.
He played it in the wrong order. The card wasn't in play when the other thing died.
It's at the beginning of each end step.
Yeah.
Right. Then you should probably tell him.
It's gone a little bit far for that, but I guess for next time. Wander plays Tempered Onclem, drains FrogMaker, plays the Caracal. Having 2 creatures here is definitely good for FrogMaker because then can easily block the Caracal. Sackbull also goes up to a 4/4 here, so now so it can just kill the Tempered Onclem. It has Acidic Slime to kill the Tempered Onclem because it's an artifact creature.
Oh, Tempered Onclem, another thing not hit by Out of Date.
Oh yeah, not hit by Out of Date, but hit by Acidic Slime.
Why? Yeah, why would you leave Acidic Slime in, though?
That's what I was thinking. Blitzsuit and Acidic Slime are only so much of RDW, and Acidic Blitzsuit and Enchantocrats, and that's all it takes.
Yeah, but meanwhile, FrogMaker has
I don't think attacking their land.
Razorvine. And now, it feels like Wander needs burn, but FrogMaker isn't quite low enough on life. I guess if you're FrogMaker, you just block the Pouncing Caracal?
Can't. Menace.
Menace, yeah. Never mind. So just block one of the Cleric tokens and then takes 2, 1 from the Caracal, 1 from the Cleric token. Yeah. If Wander has more Oncolims and like the Phoenix Flames, or like I guess Screecher also does it because of the haste, could just sneak enough damage in there. Of course, Sackbull gaining life could also put FrogMaker out of quote unquote burn range. Tapping out again. Whoopip Wanderer? No, Epic of Jabaya. Is gonna buff up the bull? That's actually a sweet interaction, if that's what FrogMaker is doing.
I would put at least one counter on the slime.
I mean, why? I think you put it all on the bull.
For a really strong attack.
I guess put 2 of them on the Abomination. I don't agree with that because I feel like putting it all on bull again gives you like so much life gain, just so much. Like, and that's enough to like sometimes just win you the matchup. So swings out for 6 with the Razorvine Abomination. Yeah, Wander's just gonna take that, but yeah, it's not looking good.
The bull can be a really slow Sphinx's rev.
Mm-hmm. So swings out.
Just sometimes too.
Yeah, so swings out for God knows how much. Let me see. So that's 4. That's 8 damage in total. So FrogMaker is forced to block something here. If Wander has like, so blocks both the Minister of Zealots, takes 4. If Wander had Phoenix Flames here,
oh man,
no, does Wander have has Brimstone Volley, and that's game. Oh no. And that Sackbull is just sitting there, very sad. But yeah, good games to both players. But AllWhoWander on MonoRed Aggro takes a 2-0 over FrogMaker on Green-Black Enchantocrats. Hello, and welcome to a post-match interview of Wander and FrogMaker, who just played their round 2 match for the Cycorp Swiss Open. Soul and Tyrant are going to be asking these guys some questions about the match that just went down.
Like FrogMaker. I noticed in the second game you kept an acidic slime. When Soul, Caillou, and I were commentating, we weren't sure why you did that. We thought that the deck only ran 2 artifacts and that hitting lands wasn't what you wanted to do. What was your thought process behind that?
For what it's worth, I just wanted to mention, I did actually, game 2, I boarded out my Blitz. The only hit was Uncle. Although you didn't know that, of course.
Yes. I think it was that it was the Blitz suit idea, and that if I could turn a corner like that, really the hand's reliance was on the fact that I had 2 rights in the hand.
Okay, so your idea was just, if I can playing a creature at all, it's worth it. That's what I need to do this game. I can kind of see that as a form of playing to your outs. On a similar note, AllWhoWander, what led you to siding out Blitzsuit in that matchup? Every game I've seen it in, it's done a lot of work for pushing through damage.
Yeah, that's very surprising to me, because that's what makes your deck stand out against the other red list.
Yes. So this is a matchup where I number of person could do it fairly early, and they also don't mind using those blockers. They're somewhat an aristocrat stack. So I felt like Blitzsuit, while it's a good way of pushing damage, doesn't do as effectively if my opponent is also going wide, and I'd much rather have the kind of consistent burn that Hired Hit and Blazing Volley, or not Blazing Volley, the Morbid Burn spell offer.
Okay. In that first game, we saw FrogMaker mold a 6 and stuck on 2 lands. We saw you, Wander, mold to 5, stuck on 1 land.
Yes.
Do you feel that you made correct decisions with bad outcomes? Do you feel like you could have mulliganed differently?
I can take this first, because for me, I think I drew 8 cards and didn't hit another land, or 9 cards. So it felt really bad. And the game plan, even after, I don't know, the 3rd or 4th card that I missed, was I was planning on just archaeologizing my own Into the Den just as a ramp spell, just to pull it with Zulaput Rights, so that I could hit my 4th, so I could cast my Whooped Bruiser. It was at least the plan. I just needed to hit a land. I just never got it.
Wander?
The first hand was, I think it was correct to mulligan it, but it was at the very least considerable. Normally, in any other deck, I would not usually consider a 1-land hand, barring unusual circumstances. MonoRed is a kind of deck where you would strongly consider that. I just only believe I had 1 drop in that hand, and I felt it wasn't good enough. Basically, I would need to top deck out and running 1 drops in order to be able to stay in the game, especially if my opponent had early creatures. So I decided to take a mulligan. Second hand, no lands, so that was an obvious shift. The 5 was also kind of sketchy in that it also only had 1 land, but it had 2 Pyromancer, or 1 Pyromancer's Wisdom in it, and then I drew a second one subsequently. So that would have been a much better hand had I drawn an earlier mountain, but I didn't, and I pushed through it anyway.
Speaking of that hand, what did
there
you
was actually a
scry from the Oracle's Ploy? Was it the Phoenix Flames?
So no, the thing I kept on top when I was on 1 land, the Oracle with the scry from the Oracle's Ploy was the second Hellhound, the second Rotting Hellhound. It was an interesting choice. I'm not sure it was correct. But my opponent was getting low, and getting to 2 mana really didn't help me all that much. I'd rather have something I could cast and just start continuing to deploy more threats, because my opponent was already behind on board, and I'd rather push that advantage.
FrogMaker, if you were preparing for a field with this deck where you predicted that you might come across RDW, a lot of RDW, how would you build your deck differently, if at all?
Yeah, that's a very fair question. I thought I was in a pretty good position, but apparently not. I'd have to add more removal spells in the main, just cheap things that I can kind of interact with.
Okay.
I have to be able to keep them down at the beginning better. Just something to just get a little bit lower to the ground. Obviously, the 5 drops don't work out in a game where you don't get the 5 mana.
Yeah. Wander, obviously you won that match, but the first game was unusual circumstances. The second game, he had a few opportunities to turn the corner. If you were preparing for a field where you thought you might come across black-green Enchantocrats a lot, how do you build your deck different?
So yeah, that's a good question. And I think the answer would be that I would rely less on creatures and more direct spells. I'd put things like Colonnades Gaze in the main. I'd put Brimstone Volleys.
Expect it to be more like Zoo's RDW.
Exactly, yeah.
That we see.
Because my opponent, as I mentioned, has the ability to generate a good number of blockers, which make my small attacking creatures less useful. And I'd much rather just throw spells at my opponent's face. It also serves as removal for problematic creatures that grow, like Sacrificial Bowl or the 2-mana Abomination.
Wonder, how confident were you in that matchup coming in?
I was fairly confident. I thought that my opponent had a lot of... my opponent had the ability to generate a lot of creatures, which is obviously... But the creatures themselves didn't do that much. They didn't have all that much room in the main, and I felt that I felt fairly confident that I could run them, and that a lot of their, they felt like they were a deck much more geared towards playing the late game, and I felt that my deck does not let them get.
So, FrogMaker, towards the end of the second game, you cast Epic of Jobiah, that seems like a turn where in particular you had a lot of decisions. You could have chosen not to cast Epic of Jobaya for as large an X value to hold up mana for Sacrificial Bowl. You could have chosen to distribute the counters differently. How did you go about deciding how to take that turn? And do you think that it was correct knowing what you knew at the time? Obviously, it turned out not to be correct. But
even knowing at the time, it was the incorrect play. There was a much better line of just making the bowl gigantic, drawing a bunch of cards, and gaining a bunch of life. It was probably the better play because I would have left up 2 green, and then I would have been able to crack it, and then even if in response there was a burn spell to the face, I could have cracked it again. That was a far better line. The original thinking was that, oh, he's got the 4 damage removal spell. If I can get both these creatures above 4, then we could be in smooth sailing and he won't be able to eliminate my guys without faulting to a 2-for-1. So I was thinking that if I could last through that turn, I've stabilized and I can win this game pretty easily. And even with that line, that was the thinking, but it should have just been a less big epic, target the Sacrificial Bowl, and then just stabilize after that turn. It was definitely the better line because it was drawing cards and gaining life was far more important than just making sure that the morbid creature.
And this is what you'll get a lot when you built this deck relatively recently, correct?
Yes.
When someone does that, then they bring it to a tournament, they will miss lines like that. And it's really interesting to see when that comes up.
Yeah, the good thing is you learn, so I won't do that again. I'm slowly not archaeologizing creatures anymore, which is also a line I kept on doing because it can't target creatures. But yeah, I'm learning with it. I like the deck a lot. I like what it does. I still feel like it's in a good field, in a good spot compared to all the other decks.
Okay, so you think that your archetype has a good chance in the meta right now, and you just need to.
Yes, there's a deck here that as traditional. Originally, it was Jund, and it might even need a 3rd color still because with this mana, a 3rd color is pretty free in my opinion. And
I think so. Like your consistently, I think both between the Jund and the green-black versions, it's felt like you're always like taking the first few turns off, and that kind of ends up being a little bit iffy. I think it's not like your deck is like it's geared to be like relatively late game, but I think there are times when like you're like missing 2 drops, and it's like that's a problem because your deck has like a good number of like things on 2. So I think it's worth it to stay in 2 colors. Like you have everything you need. You have like good solid game-winning threats on 2. You have removal. You have like impactful 2-for-1s, and you have an infinite combo that you can backdoor into after playing mid-range. I think you're solid with 2 colors.
Yeah, that's totally fair. That's exactly what it is. I think the deck really is just a little too cute, and if I streamlined it and I made it focus what it's supposed to be doing, I think it would do far better. And like I said, it might just need to get lower to the ground.
Do FrogMaker, Wander, either of you have any last thoughts on the matchup? On the tournament so far?
I think that the reason I played MonoRed in this tournament is just because I felt that I personally do not like playing aggro decks. I do not like playing against decks. I wish they did not exist to some extent, and I certainly wish they weren't as good as MonoRed currently is. But the reason I chose to play this deck is because I feel that it is under-tested against that. For whatever reason, people don't seem to play it when they're practicing their decks in League. And I think that it's a force that was under-respected, and I think that hopefully by playing this deck, people can get a better idea of what the deck looks like, how they can beat it, etc., and we can get more diverse metagame.
Is there a goal with data collection to do you think the deck is too good, and are you trying to get it nerfed, or are you just trying to increase its visibility so people maybe pick it up more, maybe build with it in mind more often?
I don't think it's. I think it's too early to say if the deck's too not. Even though round incarnation. I think that, but I think that by showing that it's in fact still good and tournament viable, we can get more people to play, and therefore get more data on whether it made or not.
Man of the format. I think people, if they haven't been playing it, I think it's only because they know it's good, and that playing it more wouldn't change that, and they want to try and find other interesting things. Of course, it's still beatable as well because it went 0-2 in the last tournament. It's just that it's like a consistent boogeyman to be reckoned with if you're ever building a deck. Like if you see people doing deck building,
it also does a lot.
Like Crest and MonoRed are the first two decks that always get brought up in terms of like, does your deck have something to deal with this? And if not, advice is given on how to change that.
FrogMaker, did you have any last thoughts on the matchup or on the tournament?
Not really. I'm glad that it's happening, and I'm glad that it's early in the tournament, so we'll see what happens. I don't think I have my matchups correctly, like, I'm not anticipating my matchups correctly. I actually thought I had a pretty good chance of beating the red decks, but I think that ultimately, by playing it, I can see that I'm stumbling way too early, and it's really becoming apparent.
Okay.
I left, but thank
no
you to Soul
myself.
and Simon for joining me for both commentary and this interview, and thanks to FrogMaker and Wander for taking the time to do this interview. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, likewise.
Cool. And until next time, this is Caillou signing off.